Hello, everybody. My name is Tony. I am the outreach coordinator at AMI-Quebec, and tonight I am with Edgar. Aha, I got it right. And Mark,
Hey,
who is this way. And we're going to be talking about it's our AMI Spotlight series about our depression support group. So we're going to be talking about the depression support group and just depression in general. Before I ask Mark and Edgar to introduce themselves, though, I'm going to ask them to answer a question. And usually I say, if you could be this thing, what would it be and why? I'm going to switch it up. And today, the question is, if you had to eat one kind of food for the rest of your life, what would it be? And I mean, I guess a why if you have a why, but what would it be? Edgar, you're up first.
all right. That one is a no-brainer for me. It's probably steak and fries. I
Steak
that's
and
probably my
fries.
that's my favorite kind of food.
All right.
I I just love.
All right.
And well,
That's
it has to be well done steak.
well done. Whoa.
Yeah.
All right. So you want well done steaks for the rest of your life. All right.
Pretty much.
Mark, you're up.
Oh man, I mean, I'm thinking in terms of my guts, them still liking me after all. Like, I
Yeah.
would say like grilled chicken. I could probably persist on grilled chicken for
Grilled
a
chicken.
while.
Okay, if your gut
Yeah.
wasn't an issue, because honestly, that would be a big
I
deal
would
for
eat
me too.
pizza every single day. I would just eat pizza.
You stole my answer. I shouldn't have said anything. My answer is going to be pizza because, and I'm going to say the big because here is because you can put whatever you want on pizza. I didn't say you couldn't put different things on it. You're stuck with steak and fries. I could have steak and fried pizza if I want, and it would be fine. I could have nacho pizza. I could have whatever I want. I could, and it's pizza still. So that's my cheating answer about this. And I didn't think of this beforehand. Literally, I was like, as this was counting down at about 15 seconds, I looked up top icebreaker questions, and that was the one that stuck out. So I didn't have time to prepare any more than you did. So now that everyone knows what you like to eat, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourselves? Edgar, who are you, and like what do you bring into this discussion here, and where are you coming from?
Right. So I'm a group facilitator essentially.
Okay.
I think I started about end of 2018 or so. I went through the facilitator training, and in about 2019 or so, I started to attend groups in person back in the days,
Yeah.
and
In the
now it's
before
obviously
times.
online. And yeah, so I've been doing this roughly for 2 years or so. Most of
Okay.
the time, I'm facilitating the depression group.
Okay.
I'm also, however, involved in helping with tech support as well for some of the online groups
Okay.
in diverse groups.
Perfect. So, Mark, who are you, and what are you bringing to this discussion here?
Uh, I work at AMI. I'm program coordinator. I find brilliant people like Edgar and bring them in because we would not function as an organization without tons of great
Yeah.
volunteers. There's only about behind the scenes. There's only about, including Tony and I, there's about 8 of us
Yeah.
who just kind of huddle and like just beg our volunteers to just help us because we help like 2 or 3 thousand people per year, and there's no
Yeah.
way we could do that alone.
Yeah, we have a ton of volunteers. We did a whole segment on them once, and tried to like kind of make sure we let them know how much we care and appreciate all the work that they've done. Because very like Mark said, what we do would not be possible without our volunteers. If you're interested in being a volunteer, there are forms on our website. I'm trying to find it right now, but I don't think I'll be able to before we can get going here. Anyways, here it is. I found it. Volunteer. So I'm gonna put the link on the comments right here, in case you want to volunteer at AMI-Quebec, and maybe we can find a way that you can fit in with what needs we've got and what we're offering and stuff like that. So we do have some questions that are coming in already, which is great. I will try to get to them. None of us are doctors, so that's something to keep in mind. The main focus of this discussion is really talking about the support groups themselves. And then we're going to talk a little bit about depression and how it and different things around it. So I will get to your questions. So just we're going to start though with a little bit of information about the support group. If you have questions, though, please do ask them. It'll help guide the discussion. It'll help us kind of like talk about things because it's super important. So I guess the first question I have for you guys is like, what can people expect when they're coming to an AMI support group? They used to be in person. They won't be in person probably this calendar year because of everything that's going on around here. So what can they expect if they come into the support groups online? Maybe Edgar, you can start. Like, what's it going to look like?
So essentially, it's right now it's a video group call where people voluntarily join the groups, the discussion, so they don't have to if they don't want to, and they can come in whichever week or month, depending on the group they're joining, they want, and they discuss about a similar topic that affects them, such as depression, for example, and they exchange tips and tricks and kind of help each other in a way. And in more details, there's like a structure in there as well. Like at first the facilitator anyway starts by reading throughout the different guidelines of the group, and then we jump into the tech guidelines, and then we jump into the introductions, and then we jump into the actual talk. It's
okay.
It's pretty well structured and organized.
So Mark, do you have anything to add to that about what people can expect?
Yeah. First of all, there's no registration. You can just show up on Monday nights 2 or 3 times a month, usually 3 times a month on Monday nights. Tony just put the schedule in the comments there below. And you can show up by computer, by tablet, by smartphone, or by regular phone. We recommend you do it by computer if you can. Tablet's a little bit sketchy in terms of tech, and smartphone, there's not as many features too. And regular phone's a whole other issue. So if you have a computer, it's the easiest way to do it. And you can be anonymous. We ask that you try to arrive on time. We don't allow anybody 15 minutes late. And it's for people with, say, I'll give you an example. For the depression group, it's people with depression, but it's also for caregivers. So if you have a family or a friend or a boyfriend or girlfriend with depression, you can join as well. So it's open to anybody in that whole kind of umbrella of depression to attend.
Yeah, and like Mark said, I posted the link to the calendar which has all of our events, both workshops and support groups and discussions and everything, all on our calendar page. So you can definitely check that out there, and that is very up to date. We update it, I think it's 3 times a year, and it does not change. Once it's on the website, I don't think we've had to cancel anything in a long time, especially since it's been online. I don't think we've canceled a single event that we've had online. So if it's on the calendar, it's happening. Someone will do
written in stone.
It's written in stone. So, what kinds of we know what people can expect, right? But like, can we give some examples of like some of the like, maybe not situations, but like kind of like the vibe that people will have when they come in? Are they like, I don't know, right? Like I personally do not have lived experience with depression, so I don't know what to expect. I don't even know, maybe I did have a depression and I didn't know it. Like these are, this is where if someone's like, I don't know what to, if I should come into this group, like what are the kinds of things that people are talking about? Maybe Edgar, you can start us off.
Absolutely. So it really varies on the person to person. There's like, it's so vague, it's so vast, I should say. There's so many different topics that can affect someone, but usually people feel a little bit more down. They don't have as much motivation to do their daily tasks and staying as performant. So they would join the group and they would discuss how you're doing. You ask them what's going on in your life right now, and they would be sharing what's going on. They would be asking sometimes for advice from other people in the group. Sometimes, and that's the beauty of these groups, I think, is that you get to meet so many different people with so many different experiences. So the more you come, the more you have a chance to get to meet someone who had a similar experience before, and maybe they can trigger something in you, or like a new thought or a new thinking process or whatsoever. And that's the kind of thing you can really expect
Okay.
in one of those groups.
All right.
But
Mark?
it's very different group to group, really.
Yeah, I can imagine that because it's drop in and there's no registration necessary, so you can just come in with whatever's going on with you that week. Like, it doesn't have to be. So if that's the case, then I'm sure that week to week everyone has different things going on in their lives. So when anybody can come in, I guess that's a positive part of it. What do you have anything to add to that, Mark?
Well, yeah, you're going to see. Well, first of all, like our groups are sort of a 33% split. So 33% are kind of regulars who come pretty often. So there's a sense of community from the regulars. And then there's sort of a third who are like here and there. Oh, I saw you a few months back. And then there's a third who are new and come once or twice, and then they're gone again.
Okay.
So there's always sort of fresh blood, for lack of a better expression. People, new faces coming, and older faces as well. So there's always fluctuation that way too.
That's good. All right, so maybe we can start getting into a bit of these, like the questions that are coming in. So one of the big ones one of the ones that's come up is, and Hella, I'm just gonna say that you have a lot of questions, and none of us are doctors, so we're not gonna be able to answer all of them. I'm gonna do my best to try to like portray them or like relay the information as best I can here. So Hella's asking specifically, being depressed about a big decision mistake. So how to like overcome that. When I hear this, I think a lot about regret, and I can see how regret can trigger a depression, because depression can be triggered by any number of things, or sometimes nothing at all. It can be a biological response in your body. So do we have any advice or help for just like how to deal with a depression that's been triggered by like a life event that we maybe regret or wish we could change? Like, what are some of the things that we could say about that? Either of you have any insight?
Well, I mean, for me, full disclosure, I've dealt with depression since I was probably 16, 17. And for me, I started going to therapy in my early 30s, and there's something called CBT, and it stands for Cognitive Behavioral Therapy. People say CBT, it's sort of a catchy phrase. And it's a way to sort of rewire your mind and how you look at things in the world, your past, your present, your future, and rewire your way to look at things in more healthier manner and with more light and with perspective from someone outside the experience to make it more truthful.
Okay.
And CBT with a therapist has been a lifesaver for me for things, for major life crises.
Yeah, my understanding of CBT is exactly what you said. It makes you, we have like intrinsic responses to actions in our lives. And so CBT helps you take that response and change what you would normally do, and kind of look at the situation in a different way to respond differently. And it's a training, it's a process. It's not something that just happens. So that's something to keep in mind. Edgar, do you have any insight or any input about this?
What I'm thinking of is probably something that has helped me a lot with back in the days when I had trouble falling asleep, was journaling. I would write whatever was in my mind at this time, whatever, I kept thinking of. I would write it out, everything, all my thoughts, until I can't think anymore. And I would close it out, put it aside, go to bed, and then usually most times then not, it would actually help me to fall asleep because I wouldn't think about them anymore. I've already did it.
Okay. That's a great idea. I know that we started to do a small journaling workshop. Mark, is that going to continue on in the future? Is that something that we're looking at?
Yeah, we had a mood journaling for young caregivers in March. and fantastic. It was a 2-night event, and I think we're going to try to bring it back in the autumn. Excellent. It went over really well.
Yeah. So great that's resource. Like for young caregivers, that's a good thing. So we've gotten a few comments here from Tina, which are pretty good. Feel to heal. I don't know specifically what that means. Do either of you two have heard of that? Like, I'm sure that's a common phrase that goes with something. I just don't know it. And then positive people, positive thoughts. That's, I think, pretty self-explanatory, trying to have positive thoughts around things. So let's see, where can we go here? Okay, so I had one question that I thought was like, there may be misconceptions about what depression feels like or what it looks like. So maybe we can try to like not define it or narrow it down, because it's not, I'm sure it's different in everybody. But what are some ways that depression can manifest itself in people? Like,
I can give a couple, because something I've learned is you have cognitive distortions, which basically means your mind is not functioning properly, thinking about certain things. I'll give you one example. One is catastrophizing. So when something, like say I injured my knee, I'm like, oh my God, we're going to have to amputate my leg.
Okay.
That is catastrophizing.
Okay.
And that's, and that's just taking it to the extreme, one way or the other. And when you're depressed, all of your mind gets distorted in certain ways.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, so that's one way. Edgar, do you have any other ways of like what it might look like?
There's also self-victimization, when you feel like you're a victim of life and whatever happens to you, it happens against you.
Okay.
So it could be like, let's say, for example, there's an accident that happened, or a car accident, and then the first thought you get, always happens to me and poor me, and kind of getting in that victim mindset. Okay. That's another big one, I think.
Okay. I know that oftentimes people think of depression as feeling sad, and that you can just smile or like hear a funny joke and that'll get you out of it. And I think that one way of looking at it is that it's not a feeling of being sad, it's a feeling of no feelings, of being numb. And just like, there's no motivation, there's no sadness, there's no happiness, you're just existing, and you don't know why and you don't know how. And so it's hard to get out of that mindset of like, when that's how you feel. I know that some people have talked about like there's different ways like CBT, which will help you like get out of that mindset and help you think about things in a different way. Often people will need antidepressants, which obviously you need to have prescribed to you through a doctor. And so therapy is never a bad thing, I think, in order to like process your thoughts and work through them. And so I think that to me is like kind of like should be a primary response to things, instead of trying to like find shortcut answers, or maybe not shortcut answers or long answers, but therapy can help you like manage all of these different things. So I have another question here. Maybe you guys have some insight into this. So the connection between perfection and depression. Can we speak to the connection between perfection and depression? Do either of you two have any kind of like insight into this?
I mean, yeah, that's another cognitive distortion where everything either has to be perfect or it's wrong.
Okay.
And that goes back, I spiral.
Yeah.
When one such action, I screwed up that test. Well, then I'm not worthy, and then I'm going to smoke 10 cigarettes, and then, I'm not going to talk to anyone for a week.
Okay.
So yeah, the distortions kind of lead into each other.
Okay. Edgar, do you have any insight into this one?
I think Mark described it pretty well. It's pretty much when your expectations are very high and you don't meet them, so you're feeling depressed, like you haven't reached your goal, your quota.
Okay. I know I don't know if I guess it's kind of related to this. I do a lot of metalworking, and I know that I can spend 20 hours on a project and it will still not be done to the way that I think it can be done, but it's good enough. And there's sometimes it's okay to accept good enough. And I think that that's something that we have to be able to come to terms with. Because a done project is better than an unfinished project, or an imperfect project is better than an unfinished project. I think that's someone said that to me recently, and I thought that was really like that really resonated with me, that you can have something that's imperfect but it's finished, whereas you can have something that's unfinished and never be perfect, and then you're stuck. Mark, do you
I had a high school English teacher who told me once, and I still remember this. He said, a paper is never done, it's merely turned in.
Okay.
You could keep working on something into infinity, right?
Okay. Yeah.
You just got to get to that point where it's like, yeah, it's good enough.
This is good enough. And now obviously there's going to be levels of good enough that people can accept, and
realistic expectations,
yeah. I mean, and you know what, that's one thing, actually. I'm glad you said that, because that's one of the ways of like making it so you don't have this idea of a perfection stopping you, is to have SMART goals. It's like it's a way of like organizing your ideas and goals and and what you want to achieve, and each letter stands for something. So SMART, and R is realistic, right? T is to have timely, like you have a deadline, and that's also important. And obviously, of course, the top simple, S, that's I don't know, I can't remember the rest of them. This is like digging way back into my like school time here, and my brain isn't quite there right now. But SMART goals, if you ever want to look it up, I'm going to write it down. SMART goals is a good way to try to manage that idea of perfectionism. All right. So if anyone's got any questions,
to add something else.
Yeah, please do.
And I think you can also, like, especially when there's a big task that it's just so overwhelming, you can also split it in smaller tasks. So if you want to achieve it perfectly, maybe you cannot achieve the whole task perfectly, but maybe you can do a part of it perfectly on that one day, and then there's a satisfaction of the day. Then tomorrow you do some more, and kind of gradually build up on it until it's fully achieved.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea of like breaking down your project into something that's manageable. That's the M, by the way. I just remembered as you said that. M is manageable goals. SMART is, so it's simple, manageable, attainable, realistic, and timely. I just remembered it. There we go. So these are all the different ways you can have your to try to manage your goals for perfectionism. So if you have any other questions, I've got another question here from Julian. I'm going to put it on the screen. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger here. Are racing thoughts of what if scenarios, like a mini worry OCD, correlation to anxiety, which could lead to, oh my God, I would rather die than have to deal with this person, as an analogy? I'm not sure what this means. Maybe you guys understand it?
I mean, I want to mention comorbidity.
Okay, comorbidity. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's this fancy word. It basically means things that tend to go together.
Yeah.
Like you can think about peanut butter and jelly tend to go together. They don't have to go together. Well, one of them is depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
They tend to be, you tend to, not always, but sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I deal with both depression and anxiety, and they tend to feed off of each other at times.
They're bedfellows.
Yeah, they are, and not good ones.
No.
And so you have to be willing to, realize that you have multiple challenges you're dealing with at once.
Yeah. I think that, and that's where, talking with a professional and in therapy might help you understand when one of these things is making the other thing more difficult, right? So you have like your anxiety that's like keeping you from taking action to work on something, and that's making you more depressed, which is making your anxiety go up because you can't, and it's this like cyclical thing. And so it's important to have sometimes to have another ear to bounce your world off of so that you can help work through it. Tina posted this. Halt. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. I think that has to do with if you're going to take an action, make sure you're not doing it because you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. I think that's what that's about, right? Like, am I doing this because I'm hungry, or am I doing this because I'm angry? Am I doing this because I'm lonely, or am I doing this because I'm tired? Do I need to take a nap? Do I need to make a sandwich? Do I need to go take a walk? Do I need to go see a friend or make a phone call? These are like responses to things. I like that one, halt. I've never heard that. That's a good one. All right. So that's all the questions I've got for right now, but I have a couple questions that I can keep us talking for a little bit. If anyone has any questions, feel free to type them in the comments. We're talking about the depression support group and just everything in general. And Julian said all of them. I am hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. I'm all of these things at once. So you need to
halt when you got
if all of those things are happening, you need to see a friend and eat a meal and then take a nap in a park. That's the only solution to this. All right, so we've talked a bit about CBT and therapy and antidepressants. Are there any other things that you can think of, or like treatments for depression, or things that are commonly referred that people are just like say, oh, just do this thing, and it doesn't really, like, that's not going to help. Do you guys have anything that you can think of? Edgar, what do you think?
I think taking a simple walk outside, or I think it's called meditative walk, is very, very helpful. It has helped me a lot to get my thought off. Like whenever there's like a race season going on, I take a walk, I focus on my walking, focus on nature, and so on and so forth, and it just kind of helps to just...
Okay, you're breaking up a little bit, but I think I got the gist there. The quality was breaking up. Mark, what do you think? Do you have anything else to add to this?
Yeah, be careful about self-medicating. So alcohol, drugs, fast food, pornography, social media. There's a lot of things we consume that aren't necessarily good for us in large doses.
Yeah. I think that's a very valid thing. I think that, and I'm sure when we had a discussion with Rabbi Bresinger, I think was his name, from what's his name?
Chabad Lifeline.
Chabad Lifeline, yeah. And they deal with addiction there, and I think that that's a pretty common thing, is that people are self-medicating, and they end up spiraling down into going from this is just one drink to always needing a drink, or this is this one thing I'm going to do this one time, and then it just turns into a constant thing. And Edgar, I'm going to kind of go against what you're saying here. I'm going to kind of counter you, and this is part of the beauty of having this 3 people on a panel thing. I know that when people are like, oh, I'm
Please
depressed. Do. Yeah. When people are like, oh, I'm depressed, what can I do? I feel like the most common response people say is go for a walk, get some exercise. And I feel like it's bigger than that. Like, these things might work for the short term in the moment, but they don't address the root issue of what's going on. Like, yes, exercising is a healthy thing. It gets your blood flowing, it gets your endorphins up, and it gets all these things going. But at the end of the day, those things wear off. And so how do you're not addressing the root cause, or even attempting to talk about it, right? Or like deal with it. You're putting a Band-Aid over it. And I think that's important to realize, like, yes, that works. It does, absolutely. But it's not going to fix the problem for everybody. For some people, it definitely will. Yeah, but that's my own little, like, kind of addendum to that, is that, like, there is no one solution too for everyone, right? Like, What's going to work
Absolutely, yeah.
for Edgar or Mark may not work for me, and what works for me may not work for Mark. Like, I know that if I dug into a big bowl of spaghetti and pasta, I'd feel great. But maybe Mark wouldn't, because it's going to upset his stomach. It's going to make everything worse at the end of the day, right? So like, this is like, but that's like on a physical level. But like, then there's also just like, I can eat and I feel great, but that doesn't necessarily work for other people. So yeah, I wanted to make sure to like put that little caveat there, that anything we're recommending isn't, it's not the be all end all. There's gonna be other, there are, everyone has their own individual responses and their own individual reactions to things. So I have another question here. My partner frequently transitions from initial sadness to anger, and is this a common link? Do you two have any insight into this? I will say I personally don't have an answer for that. But maybe Mark and Edgar?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, anger is not a huge part for me personally with depression, and not for me to go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Anger more has to deal with, for me, anxiety. I will go there occasionally when I'm very anxious about a situation, but not necessarily depression.
Okay, so there's one thing, we had a discussion with Melanie a long time ago, and she really brought this, and I'm going to put a link to this website. It's called the Emotions Wheel, and I'm going to try really hard to maybe no, I don't think I can put it on the screen. Let's see if I can. We're gonna try this for a second. You guys are gonna have to bear with me for 2 seconds. So I'm gonna try to put an image on the screen of this emotion wheel, and it's gonna be over the top of all of us. Here it is. So here it is. So one thing that is a thing here is that when we have a feeling of an emotion, we can look at the root base. If someone says, I'm feeling sad, okay, well, why are you feeling sad? Is it really that you're feeling lonely? Why are you feeling lonely? Is it really because you're longing? So these are different ways of like kind of like taking our core emotions and branching them out to what you're actually feeling might help you better understand what's going on. And so that doesn't mean you can't be feeling more than one of these things, but this is something that I thought was a really good thing that Melanie brought forward. And so I put the link up to where you can find it on the internet, and here it is on the screen. But I think it's a really like I don't know, I think it's a good approach to trying to get to the root of what emotion you're feeling, and that might help you better understand it. And so here we go. So it's usually connected with trying to avoid feeling deeply depressed. Anger is safer than depression. Yeah, this is, I think, going to be beyond our scope in this discussion. I'm not a doctor. None of us are on this particular Facebook Live. We do have regular doctors who attend with us. However, they take a break for the summer because they're very busy. So we have them on for the fall and the spring. So if you look through, Phil, maybe you can catch us with when one of the doctors are on and bring that forward again, because I'm sure they could have good insight into that. Yeah.
Just to mention, we have a workshop on anger management.
Yeah, we do.
The next one's in the fall. The schedule's not out yet.
Oh yeah, the schedule isn't out yet. Yeah. So Phil, you can and anyone, I posted the link before, and I'll post it one more time. You can look at our calendar and see when the workshops come out. They come out quarterly, right? Every 3 months, we put out a new calendar. And you can see when that anger management workshop will come up. Maybe it can help, and maybe you can recommend it to your partner and see if that's something that you can both sit in on, or you can sit on it together even. Yeah. You'll have to check Phil, you'll have to check our the calendar when it comes out. That's when he's asking in the comments. Yeah, it's going to be in the fall. We haven't released the schedule yet because we haven't scheduled it yet. We do about 3 months in advance. So the next calendar that comes out is going to be July, August, September, which won't be fall. That'll be our summer calendar. So my guess is it'll be October or November is when that workshop will be happening again. And you can just keep in touch with that one. If you want to find out other workshops, maybe you can give us a call and we can guide you somewhere that will be having one as well, because there are other places that offer these workshops. I don't know them off the top of my head, so that's something that I can't really like help you with right now. All right, so do you guys have any if anyone has any other questions or topics? I don't want to just drag on and talk for a long time without any specific things to talk about, because this is supposed to be kind of like a spotlight on our depression support group to let people know what they're doing. So is there anything you guys want to talk about specifically?
I want to talk about an article I read.
All right, let's talk about an article you read.
Okay, so there's a magazine called The Walrus, and I'm going to put the link because it was in their recent issue, but it was also online. So I'm going to put the link in the Facebook. And it's about a guy or a few people around the world who are trying to map the brain, because we know so much about the human heart, the liver, the kidneys, everything else, but the brain is this mysterious place where we know about 1% of it maximum.
Yeah.
So basically he's been taking mice and mapping mice and using huge supercomputers. But basically the way we treat depression is how we used to treat breathing issues in 1885. Oh, you're breathing bad? Well, we're going to give you some leaves. So we treat symptoms about some mysterious thing we don't really know about. And that's kind of where we're at with depression and other forms of mental illness. And they're working on a brand new antidepressant based on this research they're doing in mice that's going to be completely different than what they're using right now. It's not available yet. They haven't even tested it on humans. But if you want to read about it, things are going to be changing in the next 5-10 years about depression treatment. Okay.
That's hopeful. I think that I think it's true that I think it does. We do need to address the root of it, and if we can't address the root of it, sometimes it's that's the hard part, right? Is if we don't even understand it, how can we treat it? If anyone's got any questions, go ahead.
I'm excited about the fact that they're actually using technology to help with that, using supercomputers to map things out, and it just kind of shows where this can be kind of headed towards, and maybe adding some artificial intelligence to this to better do the calculations behind it, and that's looking good ahead.
We at one point we did do a workshop about all these different ways that we're using technology to deal with, to help with mental illness, because we've talked about all the ways that technology, it's been very prominent, the discussion around the ways that modern technology has hurt mental health with social media and all these things, and how it's not good for us. But then there's ways that it's been helping us, and one of those things that it was here in Quebec it was pioneered, where people with schizophrenia would be able to have this altered reality. It's like a virtual reality. They'd have a goggle, they'd put on these glasses, and they had an avatar, and that avatar was a way of therapy for them. It was helping them work through different aspects of their schizophrenia and their different aspects of their mental illness, and it was showing very promising results, which I thought was really great. And it's that kind of outside of the box thinking that I think hopefully in 10 years we won't have to deal with depression anymore. We have this cure that we can think of. It won't be a shot, but it'll be something you can do that is actually beneficial. Not that what we are doing now is not beneficial, but there's still a lot of people that deal with depression on a daily basis. All right, so I'm looking through my questions. That's all I've got. Julian here is a very... I'm not actually, I'm not going to keep this too long on the screen, but thank you, Julian, for your comment. That's a really long one. It takes up the whole screen, but we appreciate your support. So if we can't think of anything else, I think I might call it a night. This might be the end of the discussion. We've talked a bit about the support group, what people can expect, what kind of things that people talk about, and the different ways that depression manifests itself. We've talked about a lot of different things, so hopefully it's helped folks. Edgar, do you have any parting words for us?
Yes. So I think it's just so many different tips and tricks that exists out there, and even if you find one that connects with you, you might still need to tweak it. So if you haven't found it yet, keep looking for it. Don't give up, just keep looking for it, because there are so many different tricks that are available out there, and maybe you'll find one that matches closest to you.
Perfect. That's great. Mark, do you have any last minute parting words for us?
Yeah, I mean, one of the key things people do during depression is isolate. And so if you get out, meet people who are going through similar things or who have been through similar things, it's very powerful to connect and be able to share with each other and share resources and community. And that's what the support groups are all about. It's a very safe space, and there are people who've been coming to our groups for 5, 10, 15 years. So it's a safe space, and now they're online. They're easy to access. Highly recommend trying them. Our next one's June 21st for depression. I highly recommend trying it, giving it a shot.
Yeah. Mark kind of summed it up. I think that the support groups are super important, and that it can be a little intimidating to go and talk to people that you don't know. You don't have to have your camera on. We just need you to be there. That's the important thing, and participate with whatever way you're comfortable, and however much you're comfortable. And if you come one time and you don't say anything at all and you just want to listen and try and take it in, and then the next time you come back you're like, okay, this is I can share now, I feel better. That's what the support groups are there for. Sometimes you just need to hear other people, and that helps you work it out. As far as my last parting words, I have this tattoo on my lip, and it says PMA. And so that's it's from this band called Bad Brains, and they have this song called Attitude, which I'm gonna post right now because, well, that's just what I'm gonna do. And that's my recommendation. My last parting words here is to listen to this song. It's about having a positive mental attitude, and I think that that's super important. It's hard to do, and it's kind of cheesy when you think about it, but if it helps, then hopefully it helps. Thank you, Edgar. Thank you, Mark, for joining me tonight. And please go listen to that song. That's my recommendation for tonight. Good night, everybody, and we'll see you next time.